So we're assuming that bots, will be deployed at some point. Let's say 10 this year, 100 deployments of bots next year, right? 10,000 but in 2026, and then 100,000, and then ramping up more seriously. So by 2035, in this scenario, I've got 43 million bots. Okay. I'm assuming that the bots generate a profit of about $12,000 a year each in this scenario. And I'm applying a PE of 100 because at 43 million, this industry is just getting started.
Right.
And again, we discussed all that on the bot video. That gets you to a bot market cap of over $50 trillion. Okay. Now, if you don't believe that, let's say Tesla does half of this.
Right.
Okay. Cut these numbers in half. Let's say Tesla only does 10% of this. Okay, fine. It's 5 trillion in market value.
Just for the bots.
Just for the bots. Now, some people would argue that the PE ratio should be higher than 100. It could be 200 at this point. Because these bots potentially are incredibly profitable and there's a lot of growth ahead. You could easily argue that the PE multiple should be more than 100.
And also because these are deployed as opposed to sold. So each year you're adding on your new deployment to the previous year, and as opposed to just selling them and getting one profit, you're getting the earnings year after year after year.
That's right. That's right. So since we talked about this at length in the previous video, we'll just skip through this. The next one is autonomous vehicles. So I have in this model that autonomous vehicles don't enter into the equation until 2027.
Okay.
And Tesla by then will have probably sold maybe 20 million EVs. I don't know. These numbers for me are guesses. I don't know what they will be, but conceivably it could be 20 million by the end of 2027.
It's probably realistic.
Okay. And I'm assuming that the autonomous vehicle fleet is only 1 million at that point.
Okay.
Okay. And it grows from there. And even by 2035, when Tesla potentially has sold 125 million vehicles, the autonomous vehicle fleet might only be 62 million.
And that those might be coming both from owned cars that are being used in the fleet, in addition to Tesla producing cars only for the purposes of their own fleet.
That's correct. And many have made the observation that Tesla should do that. That actually that would be more economical for them because they wouldn't have to share the profit with anybody.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm only applying a PE multiple of 40 on expected earnings of about $10,000 per vehicle per year. I've run some models on the autonomous vehicle opportunity, and I can easily get to much higher numbers than that.
Yes.
That's a conservative number per vehicle per year. Okay. Now, it's interesting that the profit on a vehicle and the profit on a bot could actually be fairly similar. It's 12,000 versus 10,000, but again, I've also run numbers where it's far higher than that for both of them.
Yeah, yeah, and I in particular on the bot, I have a hard time imagining in that time period that the competition will be so strong and the need won't be continuously outstripping the ability of all the factories in the world who are making bots. They won't be able to supply the numbers that are in demand at that point.
That's right. It's hard to imagine that these numbers that I'm showing here are potentially very conservative.
Right.
The biggest issue, I suppose, is around timing. We don't know when the robotaxi network will start. Maybe it's not until 2030. We don't know. But even if it isn't, even if you push this whole table down 3 years, okay, instead of 26 trillion, maybe it's only 15 trillion by 2035.
Yeah.
In market value.
I think the biggest issue on robotaxis is really going to be with Optimus. It's very easy to understand the use case, and that any factory that doesn't have them is at a complete disadvantage. It'd be like McDonald's not having automatic drink dispensers and still opening the bottles and pouring them into glasses over ice. So, I mean, you cannot not have the bots. It's when it becomes a thing. With regard to robotaxi, I think we have a very much larger question of how society will transform into being carried by automobile as opposed to driving their own automobile. And there's all kinds of, we've talked about it on this channel before in terms of whether salespeople or tradespeople, will ever be able to get out of their personal vehicles. There'll be a certain bunch of folks that just won't want to. They just like driving, et cetera. I don't know. It may turn out that everybody gets out of their car when it gets down to 10 cents a mile or something. But these are questions that I think are a little harder, a little more nuanced in terms of how it all turns out.
They are, but they also aren't. I'm a firm believer in that economics will drive it. So if it is the result that the average person can save, let's just say $5,000 a year on their transportation costs,
right?
That the average person will choose to do that because $5,000 in their pocket is a meaningful amount of money. If you are a contractor and you've got to pay $100,000 for a truck, why tie up that capital when you can buy a trailer maybe for $10,000-15,000 and then call up a robotaxi truck to haul your trailer and you wherever you need to go?
Right.
Now, that presupposes that the network is fleshed out and that there's always trucks available and that kind of stuff. So yes, there's issues like that in the short term to build out the network. Right. Just like there's issues today about are there enough superchargers in the right locations for everybody and all that. And we have those discussions, about whether or not you can do a road trip with an EV and how that works.
Right.
So in the early days of the robotaxi network, you have the same challenges, but eventually you get to this fully formed network that is able to provide services to people when they want it, exactly when they need it, and at a price that is too good to ignore. And people are going to vote with their pocketbook and say, you know what, if I can save $5,000 a year, I don't need to own a vehicle anymore. Why take up space in my garage or my driveway having a vehicle if I can just call up whatever vehicle I want? Today I want a sports car, tomorrow I want a truck, the next day I want a van. We're going to turn transportation into a service. That will happen eventually. That is clear. Yep. So those are the two big ones: bots and autonomous vehicles. Okay.
If you happen to be a big fan of the Cybertruck, you might also be interested in this super fun Cybertruck refrigerator magnet and bottle opener. It is made out of super thick stainless steel, just like the Cybertruck, and it has this giant magnet on the back, so it's going to hold a lot of stuff on your refrigerator. It's an amazing gift, and it comes in that great gift box that you saw before that uses a magnet opener, just almost like an Apple box, like when you get Apple products. You can buy it on Amazon for $29.95, or you can buy it direct from me by sending $25 to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters. Please indicate whether you want the stainless steel look or maybe you'd like to have this very clever camo version. And then if you're not in the US, please add $20 for freight. If you'd like more than one, please check the information below to get pricing, as well as all that information I just told you will be repeated in the information below. So once again, think about joining the channel, getting the up-to-date Tesla news every single day. I think you'll be glad you did.